Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om Soham, that's the expression from Sanskrit. Soham. Soham is the expression from Sanskrit. I am in the universe as much as universe is in me, or universe is in me, and or universe is in me as much as I am in the universe. When you are perceiving your surroundings are perceiving you too. It's just that the distinction that you have achieved a vocal level of awareness and your surroundings in this moment right now, as based on your karma, as based on your karma, your surrounding in this moment right now have not achieved. It's not that it has not achieved, but as far as your karma is concerned, this experience is being generated, and because of your karma, you have evolved consciously a little further than the experience around you. Do you know the space around you? You see, I would use the easy words to make you understand. Do you know? Namaskaram. Do you know the space around you, basically, what you understand as nothing, or what your thinking mind cannot your thinking mind is operating only what is and what is not. So when you look at in your surroundings, you realize that if something does not have objectivity, if something does not have boundary to it, if the very boundary defines the physicality of the object, whether it's a being, which is a point of consciousness, or it's something which is created by the being. Either way, everything in the earth is given birth on the ultimate reality by Brahman, cosmos, or eternity, if you understand. So no, when you are perceiving your surroundings, when I say surrounding does not, it does not necessarily means the objects around you. It does not necessarily means the beings around you. It does not necessarily means the tangible things around you. When I say your surroundings, it means that also the space, or what your mind acknowledges or understand as nothingness. You see, nothingness is not vocal as much as you are, or as you are in this moment in time, in this level of consciousness, but it does not mean that nothingness is not perceiving you. You see, it does, when you look at moon, you think that I am the one looking at moon, and since moon is not talking to you, moon, and since moon is not talking to you, you think that moon does not exist alive, or moon does not have life, isn't it? Anything which is moving that you can acknowledge, anything anything which is moving that you can acknowledge, anything which is speaking that you can acknowledge, anything which is vocal that you can acknowledge, as you can hear the sound coming out of that thing, or it is moving. You think that only most of the time you think only that thing, that object or that entity is alive. That's the definition of life you have. When you look at moon is probably more alive than you. Have you ever pondered about that? Have you ever focused on that? When you are looking at moon, when you are looking at moon and you are thinking that moon is probably the moon, excuse me, moon does not have life just like you are. When you are talking through your mouth, or when you are running your mouth and you are having a conversation with somebody, or you are trying to express yourself, what is in your mind through words, you think you are the only one alive and creatures like you see, I have told you and I have mentioned that creation is not human centric. Right now you are happening in the experience, right in this moment in time you are happening in the experience of humanity. It does not mean that you would, as soon as you end up here, you would not evolve further. It does not mean that. Right now, you, right now, you are happening on a certain level, excuse me, on a certain level of awareness. Right now, you are happening on a certain level of consciousness. That certain level of awareness, that certain level of consciousness is projecting you as a human. The very awareness, the very consciousness does not acknowledge that you are being projected as a human. Are you following me? I hope your focus is intact. I am bringing clarity in you. Somebody inquired basically yesterday and a week ago as well. Somebody inquired that what have you learned so far, because you every now and then you are mentioning the time is very precious for you. And I answered them, and I did make a retreat not long ago, maybe 4 or 5 days ago or a week ago. And I think title was something like that. This is what I have learned. But obviously I have learned numerous things in this time since the day of my birth. You know what that is, since the day of my birthday. Not the birthday that you celebrated yesterday or you celebrate every year once, but since the very day of my birth, I have evolved and I have transcended a lot of karma, whether it's good karma or it is bad karma. In this moment in time, I am much aware and alert enough to realize that I am still transcending karma. There are numerous things happening right now. You are seeing me in a meditative position and you are witnessing me speaking the words of truth, and you are witnessing my body and the sound of my voice. This is all this is has objectivity. The sound of my voice does not have physicality, but it is very real because you can hear this. So what I am telling you is basically a lot of things are happening which you cannot see through the naked eye. But if you basically raise your awareness higher, you would break the barriers of physical perception, which five senses outbound, five sensory senses which are all outbound. Through these five sensory senses which are all outbound, what does it tell you? It tells you that it is only necessary for your survival. Through these five senses you are perceiving, but it does not mean that there are no more senses. It is also the limitation of the level of awareness. It is not the limitation of your sensory senses. Those senses, outbound senses, may not be sensory because they are not defying or they are not breaking the barriers of the very physicality. Once you raise your awareness, you start perceiving things which are beyond the physical barriers, you see. So fear not and don't worry so much about that one day you're gonna die or one day you are going to pass on, because your life does not end here, you see. I have mentioned on the banner, excuse me, not the banner, but I have mentioned in the introduction of my bio on social media. I have mentioned in the introduction of my bio on social media, a clairvoyant, a healer, a fully functional yogi. Do what you would do with that knowledge. So people every now and then, I don't know whatever the reason, they are adding me. Or if I am seeing someone basically who I feel that has the sign of growing spiritually, I send them friend requests. I do not expect anything from anybody, specifically money. Do not expect anything from me then. You see, that's also I have learned. Did I ask you for the money? Did I ask you for the money? Or did I show you some type of barcode or something like that with a dollar sign that you gotta scan, and every time you scan, I would get a dollar or a few cents? Do you think I'm that petty? I have transcended money. Money is just like this. If I so wish, if I so wish, I can get money just like that. But I work for my money, if you understand. I mean, taking care of the survival is not a problem, but you are never stopping. Once your survival is taken care of, instead of experience life as it is happening, you get entangled with the mind and you just keep going and going and going. Not only I have transcended the money, I also have transcended numerous things. This is what I have learned in this carnation. Carnation, the Hindi or the Sanskrit word for the carnation is Jivan. This is I have learned. So I am still answering your inquiry that you inquired basically a week ago. There was, as I mentioned not long ago, not long ago, there was a retreat, and I specifically specified that retreat. And again, because there is so much I have learned, you see, and some of these things that I have learned are extremely, extremely difficult to phrase in words, if you know some of these things. Because remember, I told you the reality of words. Words are very clumsy. You understand that? Words are very fragile. You understand the word? I'm sure you do. I'm sure. I am assuming, even though I tell you not to make assumptions, but I'm assuming that you understand the meanings of the word, so fragile, so clumsy. You cannot express. Some of the things I cannot express, but some of the things I can express. And when I express that, I basically try to bring clarity in your perception. The very reason I am speaking these words of truth and wisdom, because I know somewhere, somebody basically is the clarity. Somewhere, somebody basically, the clarity, namaskaram, the clarity is being brought in their perception. Somewhere, somebody. That's why I share my experience. There are numerous people who are trying to get evolved. There are but they have self-doubt, if you understand. Self-doubt is a very nasty thing, you know that. Self-doubt can stop or seize the very expression of your life. There are so many things you wanted to say, but you have self-doubt. Self-doubt creates, self-doubt gives birth to fear, and then you keep going. Fear basically is, what if this happens? What if I say and people criticize on it? What about if I say and people do not find it true? The more you trust yourself, not your mind. Mind is pathetic. Mind is, for the most part, mind is a poison. You have to turn it into an ally. Mind basically is pathetic. You understand? Please do not comment right now while I'm delivering the speech, or I will block you no matter what you are. You understand? You can watch me speak in the words of truth and wisdom. Do not comment or try to distract these words of truth and wisdom, because I am in a state of meditation. Do not comment here, whether if it is a compliment even. So I have transcended numerous things. I don't have no desire for the money. I don't have no desire for monetary gain, for materialism, for this and that. The only thing that I have, in the end, in the nutshell, the only thing that I have learned is the life going within this accumulation, which I would leave here maybe soon, and the life coming out of this accumulation. It runs smooth. It goes within me and it comes out within me, if you understand. And so what happens basically? I go beyond the sensory perceptions and physical perceptions, because my survival is taken care of, and I have triggered the immensity a little further. That's why I say clairvoyant. There is no doubt in my mind. Other people basically, they attach title every now and then to me, but I do not self-claim nothing, because we are all in the learning process. Clairvoyant is something that I understand, that I have triggered. It's one of the things basically in this is one of the things basically in the immensity of yourself, that you have broken the barriers, of physicality, if you understand. And that's what I have done. I have broken the barriers of physicality. So I have tapped on it, and the reason I have done it, because I have made myself available, if you understand, for that receptive. However, the point I'm trying to make, money does not mean nothing. You see, friendships, relationships, I'm not saying it does not mean nothing, but I am emotionally, it means to me. No, I regard you. But I am not emotionally attached. I have learned to detach. When you learn to detach, when you learn to let go, then you have clarity. Remember, I gave you the metaphor of a surgeon. If you imagine if you are a surgeon and you are going to perform a surgery on somebody that you love, or if you are going to perform a surgery on someone or you are emotionally attached to that person, you would you would mess the person up. Chances are very slim chances that you will not, but most chances are you would mess the person up, if you understand. That's why if I attach myself to you, if I try to get a reaction from you, if I try to get a compliment from you, basically, then I cannot speak the words of truth and wisdom. In every society, we have learned that if we slightly like somebody, good or bad, whatever the person is doing, in reality, there is no good or bad, but good becomes how much you are benefiting and how much others are taking advantage of your presence as far as your spiritual growth. That is good for me, you see. And what difference you are making. If you are making a huge difference, if you have clarity within yourself and those around you, you would be considered good, you see, for a spiritual person, for a yogi, and for a meditator. Bad is, you have your own definition of bad. There is just life happening. These are all the things that I have learned in my quest to find the truth and in my quest to find the wisdom. These are all the things that I have learned in these years. So when I talk to you and I am in a state of meditation, however, the words are pouring out of me, I want you to remain your focus intact. Everything would make sense in the end. This is very significant for your spiritual growth. I have told you, do not ask me for any type of money, or do not ask me to make you rich, or do not ask me to bring goodness in your life. I'm not responsible, nor I can. I do not ask me for that. Or will I marry this girl, if you understand? I mean, small pathetic questions they don't have. Or would this girl would marry me? No. You prefer men. Why are you asking me? I know that much. I can see that way. I know, but it's not necessarily for me. Even though I know the answer, even though I know the cause that why are you asking, and I also know if I give you any type of attention that you would keep going because you have become greedy, unfortunately. When I'm saying you, it means to whom it is concerned. If you understand, if you see yourself, listen to my words and listen to my words up, because nobody speak like that, because you have become corrupted, you have become greedy, you cannot think anything more than that. That has become your life. That's why you keep coming back to this planet over and over and over. You see, nature in Hindi, there are numerous terms. Anyway, I try to say things. Sometimes those things are very difficult to say in words. In Hindi, there is a word, or in, I think the word either came from Hindi or the word came from Sanskrit. The word we use basically is nature. कुदरत कुदरत आपकी अच्छिया का अपमान करती है. Means nature basically gives you and regards you what profoundly your quest is, if you understand. nature basically nature basically respects you and regards you what profoundly you want. That's why you keep coming back and back. Obviously, you don't have no memory of it because your brain is new, you see. But mind you carry even after you pass on. Mind you carry even after you die. So what does this mean? It means that nature regards what basically you're profoundly wishing for. You get to attach with your parents. Is there something wrong? Yes, of course it is. Oh, you know, in yogic culture, in real yogic culture, not the chicks here on this planet Earth from Beverly Hills or Los Angeles or posh areas, wherever you are, performing yoga. Yes, they are performing hatha yoga, which is a very small happening in the growth of your spirituality, if you understand that. More yoga goes way beyond that. Yesterday I told you about the karma yoga, you see, or the day before yesterday, or I think it was yesterday. In the karma yoga, you do not expect a reaction. In the karma yoga, you do not expect a reward. That karma yoga, you go to these blonde, lavish people, happy, shiny people. You know, you go over there basically and you ask them to perform karma yoga. You see, very soon you wouldn't see no crowd. Everyone would be wandered away, because in this karma yoga, you are not expecting anything in return, you know. But it takes guts and it takes nerves to get there when you learn to let go. In a real yogic culture, not to be too bend or deviate. You know what bend is. Have you ever bent over? I'm sure you have. And you are bending over even right now. I can see that way. Anyway, so what I am saying, that nature in the real yogic culture, which originated and generated from Indian subcontinent, the first thing we get rid of emotionally, we cut the ribbon. Have you ever cut a ribbon? Were you given that kind of regard in the society? In that, we cut a ribbon basically, or all the ties emotionally from your very immediate family. You understand that? So let the friends, acquaintance, or the relatives aside. You see, your immediate family, you cut all the ties, because of course that would at some point would become a barrier in your spiritual growth. You gotta break the barriers. Remember, have you broken the barriers? Emotionally detach. If it is around you, cherish it. Life needs nurturing. There is nothing wrong with that. But when you get emotionally attached, yes, now you have a problem, you see, because you have no control on somebody's life. Is that a fact? You have no control on your life. If you did have any control on your life, your psychological drama, your drug addictions, basically, like this guy here, and commenting here, and I can see what's going on, or any type of addictions towards any type of substances, your addictions towards money, your addiction towards food, or any type of substances that you get high and stuffs like that. You see, these you would keep going if you had certain type of control, if you understand what I'm saying to you. If you had certain type of control on your life, you would keep going, because you are addicted to misery. Number one, you are addicted to misery, you are addicted to money, the relatives, the relations, and stuff like that. And then when the time comes and you are addicted to your body, you are addicted to your psychological drama, you would just keep going. I am very happy and I'm very glad. Every nature has absolutely remarkable brilliance, intelligence. Nature knows what is balance and what is imbalance. If you had your way, you would just keep going and going and going. And I am very thankful to Kahuna. I'm very thankful to Brahman. You come with an expiry date. You see, otherwise you would just keep going. And I personally, you know, we all would just keep going. We all would remain. There is no spiritual progress here. That's the reason you do not form emotional attachments. That's the reason you do not form emotional attachments to people. If they are around, nurture them. Just have no sense of possession. That's all I have learned, you see, in this life. I'm just highlighting the main things which would make a difference in your spiritual growth in this moment in time. Otherwise, I have learned numerous things, countless things. And those things, if I start talking about them, not that I cannot remember, not that I cannot remember those things. I can remember those things very clearly. But if some of those things, obviously, because remember, I told you about the words. Words are really, really clumsy. So some of those things are next to impossible to explain. But some of the things which I find that I can explain, and it can benefit you. Have you ever heard the term benefit? Have you ever benefit somebody from your presence? That's karma yoga. So all this, I'm telling you that these are the most prominent things that I have learned in all these years that I have lived. You understand? Nurture the life around you. Have no emotional attachments. You have no control on somebody's life or even your own life. If you had control, accidents wouldn't be happening, isn't it? The very reason you are calling it an accident, because it is an accident, it happens. If you had any control on your life or your body, or basically you on your mind, you wouldn't have accidents, you see. You would have certain control on things, but you do not. And since you do not have no control on your own body or the people who pass on and leave the body behind, is foolish in my outlook, and through the perspective of your spiritual growth, that it is foolish to have any type of sense of possession, or it is foolish to form any type of attachment, if you understand. It is because when the time comes, or those people around you, the people, your very relative, your birth family, your immediate family, if they passed on in accident, but you have the emotional attachment, the vibration sticks with you and the vibration sticks with them. That's not a good picture, because there are things that you don't see and there are things that you do. I see them both. It's not a good picture, nor for the person, because the person is not going to progress. You understand? The person would be lost somewhere. The person is not going to progress. The person would be lost somewhere. And if you passed on, if your transition happened in that kind of emotional attachment, you would be lost somewhere too. You understand? When you expand your awareness, it's not that you are it's not that you are expanding the awareness. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. You are just cleaning the mist, and the awareness is shining. So when that happens, basically you see these things. You see why it is not very wise, you see. Because everything, all this which I'm mentioning, the attachments, specifically the emotional attachments, they are a huge barrier. Do not have no emotional attachment. You have no possession on somebody's body or their life or your own body. When you do not have no possession on your own body, how can you be possessive about somebody else? You see, I see people here on social media, they brag about my men or my women or my princess, this and that, all these type of words. It's your life, however you want to project it, however you want, however you want to express it, however you want to project it. It is totally and purely your right, and it is your life. Do whatever you want to do. It's not the matter of right and wrong, because in immense happening of cosmos there is no right and wrong, but it's not very practical. It's very simple. What works for you, what is practical, it would work for you. It's a natural guarantee. You see, it's not very practical to say my men, my late father, or my men or my women, this and that. Your men and your women, the next thing you know, the status has become changed in a complicated relationship, or in a domestic relationship, or a widow, or divorced. Oh, you see, have you not ever noticed that how quickly these things are subject to variation? Why are you claiming a sense of possession on somebody's life? You are making your life miserable and you are making their life miserable as well, isn't it? Do you think any, do you think is, do you think it's practical? Do you think any wisdom in that? You see, you have a sense of possessiveness. You are making your life miserable. Now you are basically in a state of jealousy, if you understand. You all the time, you are now, you are not free. Now you are not liberated. You are confined to your thought process, because you are saying this is mine. The psychological drama that you have made, the psychological drama that you have built is basically made on an assumption. And the assumption is this person is mine. And when obviously the person is subject to variation, it is as guaranteed. The person is subject to variation. I repeat, it is as guaranteed as you were born. You understand? It is as guaranteed as you were born. The person is subject to variation. The what you see as a person, the physical feature, is a process. This person is going through numerous stages of awareness in 1 second or any given moment. You see, it's a process that you cannot see. But clairvoyants, the people who have broken the barriers of physicality, who have broken the barriers of five sensory perceptions and see life more than that. Most of you humans do not see life. Most of you humans do not know life any other way. And then the next thing we know, our time is over. It's a tragedy if we didn't get to realize. It's a tragedy if we didn't get to know our own self in which everything is happening. You see, that's why Kriya Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Kriya meditation comes into the picture. You see, so it would bring clarity. Have no sense of possession. When you have a sense of possession, the person is subject to variation. The person would vary naturally. It is as sure and it is as certain as you were born, you see. And when you have a false sense of possession, you would become jealous. You would punish yourself within. You would punish, because in order to bring misery in somebody else's life, in order to make somebody else miserable, you have to be miserable in the very first place. You can only give what you have, isn't it? Isn't it a fact? You can only give what you have. Can you imagine yourself given something you do not have? People tell me that there is a lot of truth, transparency, and wisdom in you. Yes, in person they tell me. Sometimes they message me about that, and sometimes they write on social media in private messages and stuff. You tell me this or you do not tell me this, I remain either way the same. It's very simple. You tell me this or you do not tell me this. I have brought my awareness or consciousness to a level or to a point where compliment or any type of angry comments, any type of anger, it has no effect on me. The way you are perceiving yourself, in the end, you would perceive me in that way. So, what I am saying basically, in order to make the reason I deliver the words of truth and wisdom, because it's in me. That's the point I'm trying to make. Just like that, if you are miserable, you cannot become any, you cannot make, excuse me, you cannot make anyone's life miserable until unless you are miserable. It's, if you love yourself and you have love for yourself, there is no way you would try to make somebody's life miserable. Absolutely, there is no way. It's only natural you would pour out love. That's why we ask you to explore yourself through Kriya meditation so you can get in touch with love. You see, love is an energy. Love is either there or love is not there. You cannot create love. This is pure wisdom. Everything since I started this video, yeah, everything that I am saying here is pure wisdom that I am giving you for free, even. You see. Anyway, so when you bring your focus to make somebody's life miserable, you are miserable, and then you make attempts to make somebody's life miserable because you have a sense of possession, you have a sense of jealousy. Have you ever focused, when you bring your focus solely to one thing, one object, or one person, or one being, you are totally disconnected and detached from the liberty you could have in that moment. Have you ever noticed that? When you try to take somebody else's freedom away, you lose yours. In other words, that's what I'm saying. You understand? When you try, when you try to take somebody else's freedom away, when you try to enslave them in any shape or form, when you try to tell them what to do with their life, it, somebody can say that yes, you are doing that too. You are telling us what to do with your life. No, I'm not telling you what to do your life. I always tell you it is your life, it is your monkey. Spank it however you want. I give you the option, my dear. I give you the option, my loved ones. I give you the option, my seers. I'm not telling you what to do. If you do not do it, I move on. It's very simple. You see, there is no seer when they had there not been, excuse me, watch me, had there not been a seer, there would not be a scenery. You understand or no? You understand the depth, the profoundness of what I said? Had there not be a seer, there wouldn't be a scenery. Had there not be somebody to admire the beauty, there would not be beauty. You understand? Just like that. Had there not be the ear, there would not be the words. You understand? Had there not be the listening or hearing, there wouldn't be no voice. The reason this voice is coming out of this accumulation is because I know for a fact there is somebody hearing my words. You see, you understand that? I don't tell you what to do. I just tell you this is working for me. This might very well work for you and push you a little further in your spiritual evolution, if you understand. Push you a little further in your spiritual evolution. I mentioned not long ago, detach yourself emotionally from everybody because their life is gonna end. Detach even yourself from me because my life is gonna end. It happens to each one of us. I'm not telling you Stephen King. I'm not telling you Cujo. I'm not saying any of those things. It basically happens. So when that happens, you would become very miserable. When you would become miserable, and if you didn't let it go, it would imprint on the very Atman and soul. And when your time is up, that is not a good thing because mostly what is written on your karma is grief. You understand? Is grief. That grief would generate another experience. You don't want to be stuck in experience. You want to have the liberty and the freedom out of samsara. You see, samsara is the cycle. Samsara is the Samsara is the cycle of birth and death. Remember, I mentioned samsara yesterday and other times too in numerous different retreats. Samsara is the cycle of birth and death. And you would remain stuck in the cycle. You would see light. You see, you are also a small point of light, a small point of awareness. But when you leave your body, you are there. The more aware you are in the immensity and the limitless cosmos, the more higher is your light. When you leave the body, when you become the part of the cosmos, you are nothing but a point of light, which is the manifestation of what you essentially are, a small point of light or a huge point of light or even immense point of light. What you see basically, the first manifestation of kahuna, the big giant ball of light, what you see is has every is has every life which has ever which has ever existed, which is existing in this moment in time, and which would exist ever, means ever. The big huge globe, the big huge ball, the globe of light is that. Now when you are a point of light and you how far away or close to that light, you automatically would attract towards light with no sense of direction or dimension. You would just get close, but you is just like that. I'll I'll try to find an example. Here we go. Just found one. It's just like that. You are hungry. You are what the word I'm looking for in English. In English, which is nothing but a language. Nothing special about this language. I find Spanish more fascinating than English. But anyway, it's my first language. I deliver the truth. I deliver the wisdom. So it is just working for me. I'm not fascinated by English language. Anyway, I found the example. I didn't know time passed so by so fast. So it's just like that you are looking to a very delicious food, extremely delicious, that your jaw is dropping and your mouth is watery, but you don't have no stomach. You cannot digest the food. It would deteriorate your body immensely and very rapidly, isn't it? If you don't have a stomach, can you imagine eating? You don't have no stomach. It's just like that. You would look at the light. You would be close to the light depending on your spiritual growth. Remember that. Or you would be far from the light depending on your spiritual growth. I am telling you what I have learned in all these years and the most prominent things that make a difference in your life, in your spiritual growth. Detach yourself from your immediate family emotionally. It doesn't mean that you become a sannyasi. Even if you become a sannyasi, there is nothing wrong with that. I told you about sannyasi yesterday. Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna, or Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, which is the sacred book in Hinduism, he says very, very clearly, Lord Krishna says very, very clearly that whether you take the path of sannyas or whether you take the path of karma yoga. Are you following me? Whether you take the path of sannyas, which is abandonment from everything, and you go in a seclusion. Remember, I mentioned that yesterday. Whether you take the path of sannyas or you take the path of karma yoga, which is the action, your action without any greed of a result or reward. Either way, you would find me. All the paths basically you are taking, all the paths that you have taken are leading to me. That's Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita. That all the paths, whichever the path you take, it leads to me. You see. So I am telling you, whether you take the path of sannyas or you take the path of karma yoga with kriya meditation, it's entirely up to you. But either way, emotionally detach yourself. You see, emotionally. If they are around, listen to them. If you love yourself, it's only natural your love would pour out, not only the people who are close to you or your immediate family, but for everybody. Love is just like love is just like um, I would give you a metaphor like current. Have you heard the term current? It can be used in many ways, or power, or what you understand in more generic or acceptable term, electricity, if you understand. Now, electricity, which is running through this lamp and shining a bulb on me right now, hence the light is falling upon my physical accumulation and it is reflecting from it so you can see me. Isn't what is happening? I think it's physics. Anyway, that electricity which is running through the wire and shining this bulb, and then you can see me, is the same electricity which is running through an electric chair and executing a human body. It is happening even right now, somewhere here in America or wherever they have death penalties. It is the same electricity, same power. It does not discriminate. You see, it does not discriminate. Discrimination is the sickness of your mind. It does not discriminate. It's the same electricity which is executing a human body and ending the course of life. It's the same electricity. It is basically it is shining this bulb, it is bringing life. It's the same electricity which is running through the pedals. When you try to jump start a human body, you put the pedals on the chest. You see what I'm saying to you, and then you jump start the human body. You see, it's the same electricity which is working over there, same electricity here, and same electricity on an electric chair and executing a human body. If you understand, it's the same electricity. It just depends that where it is, that however you move, however it moves, it has no concern, it has no emotions. If you understand, that's rather a clear picture. It has no concerns, basically. It has no emotions, it has no sentiments in it, that to whom or to what it is going to light up, or to whom to what it is going to end the course of life from them. Are you following what I'm saying or no? Is it making sense to you? It doesn't matter it makes sense to you or no. One day it would make sense. You see, if your awareness is not heightened, it would not make no sense in you. If your awareness on a certain level, you would vibrate. You would have a band with me. You would band with me on a certain vibration. Whether it is making sense or it is not making sense, at least you are hearing the sound of my voice. Whatever basically you do with this knowledge or truth or wisdom is your business. Because obviously, I did say not long ago that I do not tell you what to do with your life. It's your life, is your carnation. I just tell you this is very well working for me. It might as well just work for you. This electricity has no discrimination in it. Just like that, when you love yourself, you have no discrimination who you pour this love to. Now you understand the bigger picture. So when you have love for yourself, it doesn't matter whether it is your immediate family, an acquaintance. You know the meaning of acquaintance, I'm sure you do. An acquaintance, a loved one, a lover, a partner, a spouse, or your siblings. It does not, or your child, or whoever. It does not matter. You would emanate love, you see. And it's better that you do not discriminate, you see. That is the best way to love, that you just offer yourself, just like this light is offering, no matter who comes in the contact with it or no matter who doesn't, it's offering light just like that, you know. So to become that, like that, you know. So far you are intact. These are all the things that I have learned in all the years that I have lived. You see, one of the most significant, one of detach yourself again emotionally. If they are around, obviously, if you love yourself, you would pour out naturally. But if it is taken away, which it would be one day, you see, I would be taken away from you, you would be taken away from me, people who we love would be taken away from us. We do not know when that day is. That day could be today, very well. So do not betray yourself. Do not tell yourself lies. That day could be tomorrow. That day could be next 5 minutes. That day could be next 5 months or 5 years. You do not know how close it is. You do not know how far it is. It's very simple. But what you do know, that you have a certain control on, you have certain, you have control on yourself, you have control on how you perceive reality. That is something you do know, isn't it? That is something you do know, that how you connect or how you perceive reality or how you perceive something. When you know that you have no control on it, it is not very wise or it is not absolutely smart to become attached to it. When it becomes a, when you become attached, when there is a time of farewell, when there is a time of excuse me, when there is a time of farewell, when there is a time of separation, you freak out. You become attached to your own body too. And when there is moment of separation, when there is moment of uh, farewell, you freak out, you see. Freaking out in that time is the worst thing you would do to yourself. So prepare yourself, understand yourself, come to terms with it, what it is. Freaking out is the worst thing that you would do when the time is up, in that moment in time. The further progress, not only the further progress of your Atman or soul, not only depends how you lived your entire life, it also depends how you died. You see, one can say, what about if I die in accident? Yes, it is very possible. One can say it's not in my hands if I die in accidents, isn't it? You like to argue, right? You like to hear my words in a critical manner. I'm not saying all of you do that, because I know people here who are my listeners, my seers, who are my listeners, my seers, the truth seekers. I know people here. It's not necessarily to mention their name, if you understand what I'm saying to you. They are on a certain vibration with me. When I say something, they have full comprehension of that. But then there are people who are more confined or banded with the things. They have less clarity. But I admire them too, because at least they are willing to, they are, at least they are willing and they are open to a possibility. I admire them, because if I start judging them and stuff like that, their actions, the game is over. Just like the light bulb example I gave you. Anyway, not to be too bent or deviated from the top, from the point I was trying to make. that yes, there are certain people who are on a higher frequency and they understand everything I say. If they were in my close vicinity and if I was super silent, if you understand what super silent is, have you ever been super silent? This is super silent. Shh. If they were super silent and I was super silent as well, they would just pick up on my vibration. They would pick up on my frequency. That's why if you become receptive to a certain level and you go in a person who is more, who is enlightened or something like that, you can, even if the person is silent, you can learn a lot of wisdom only by being in their vicinity, if you understand. So hang on. Nurture life around, nurture your relationships, but have the awareness that you have no you have no possession. You are no one, as a matter of fact. You understand that you are no one. You are zilch. You are zero. You have no say in the immensity of cosmos. You have no say. You are nothing. You see, I mean, I see people, they brag, tattoo, masculine, or this or that, or strong headed, or this or that, and they have a certain ego running through them. They try to project that ego. With me, they become very, they wander off because I'm not receptive to stupidity, because I am not receptive to foolishness, because I am not receptive to anything which is abstract. That's why the yogis and the meditators encompass humongous amount of power. You see, they try to brag about things, that this is what happened, that is what happened, or they perceive themselves in a certain way and they live an illusion. You see, nature can wipe anyone with the flick that you wouldn't blink your eye. Poof, and you are gone. You are history. You are wiped out. Nobody would find you even. You know that. That's your reality, pal. So come out of the illusions. This is also I have learned. You see, come out of the illusion and exist with the rest of the people. Do not try to build your brick and a half church. Your brick and a half church. It's just an expression. Do not try to build your brick and a half church, or your brick and a half mosque, or your brick and a half synagogue. Do not try to build that. Do not live in an illusion that you are something. You see, nature would say, you know, here, watch me. And you are vanished. Nobody would know where you went. Just history. Same goes to me, by the way. I'm not better than you. I have mentioned that numerous times, that nature does not acknowledge, cosmos have no recognition of sinner or saint. Cosmos have no recognition of a cop and a thief. Cosmos have no recognition of a, a, a pastor or a mullah or a rabbi or a pandit. Nature does not, cosmos and nature does not operate, you know, on titles or on words. You see, it has no recognition of these things. So yeah, exist in the reality, exist in the existence of sacred, exist in the existence of divinity, exist in the existence of souls, but not as individual self. The more you have the sense of individuality in you, the more miserable you are. Have you ever noticed that? the more miserable you are, because you are carrying a lot of weight, because you are carrying a lot of burden, because you are carrying all that inside. It takes a lot of energy basically to carry all these abstract things, and it goes away or it fades away really far. There is so much false image you can project on people. You see, there is so much false image you can project on people. If you keep projecting the false image, out of nowhere, watch me, listen to my words very carefully, out of nowhere, it would the cosmos would create circumstances. Believe me, it would use your loved ones and they wouldn't even know they are being used, or you would not even know you are being used. If you live in that kind of ego, if you live in that kind of sense of individuality, this is all I have learned. So I'm just answering your inquiry, of course. The more you are living in any type of false bubble or illusion, the more miserable and at a risk basically you are. It's a given. So it would cosmos would create the circumstances out of nowhere, just like that, would create the circumstances. It would use your loved ones, your close family, your relatives. You see, that's why people complain. I was betrayed by my loved ones. I was betrayed by my close people. I was betrayed by my close friends. Or just like that, what was that novel from William Shakespeare? Anyway, I'm not interested in English literature, but I perceive things. There was a novel, there was some literature, some English literature, there was some writing by William Shakespeare. It was not Othello, I'm sure it was not. It was Caesar, Julius Caesar, or Caesar. You see the sense of individuality on him? An example. And then the one which was very close, the one which was very nearby, backstabbed him, in the back stabbed him. And he said, "You too, Brutus, you too, Brutus," or even you, Brutus, or whatever the words alongside those words. As I said, I'm not a big fan of English language, but I use it because people can comprehend the words you see from sacred. So keep all this in mind. As I have mentioned, maybe tomorrow I would carry on the same topic, because this topic is humongous. Something would definitely appear in my awareness from the divinity and source, and it would tell me, go ahead and mention that too, to bring more and more clarity. If your focus was intact while I was delivering these words of truth and wisdom, you would find truth in it, you would find wisdom in it. It would bring clarity. If your focus was not intact and you were drawing conclusions and hearing the sound of my voice critically, then the whole point is zero. If you want to comment, this fella, what's his name? Anyway, he commented like five here in the middle or in the beginning of my retweet. I cannot even read what he said. But if I find a shred of disrespect, not that I have an ego, but let's keep this respectful. I respect you, you respect me. If you do not respect me, I'll make you a history in a blink of an eye. You see, you wouldn't even snap your finger, it would happen so fast. I would make you a history like that here on this very social media. And once you are gone, you are gone. There are no second chances. This place is not the place of second chance. This is the place of last chance and last chance only. So yeah, you can ask questions, you can keep it respectful, you can comment even, or you can ask privately if you are too shy or too concerned with your ego or the image you carry. That's perfectly fine. But stop doing that, because I can see through you. It doesn't matter who you are. Now, do not go anywhere. Let's perform some meditation, okay? This is not over yet, but this meditation session is over. This is Never. What's the song by Katy Perry? This is never really over. I think it's a song by Katy Perry in which she says, "This is never really over." You know. Anyway, do not go anywhere. We gotta do some practical, you see. To go Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om He Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om. Shanti Shanti Om. You know, Om Shanti Om. Your 45 minutes are over, by the way. This is overtime. Just kidding. Anyway, let's see. मेरे को शक्ति दे शिवा, मेरे को शक्ति दे काली माँ, मेरे को शक्ति दे. Remember, I love you. Keep meditating.